Maya Thompson, a wealthy black CEO who lives modestly in the small town of Willow Creek, becomes the target of intense racial discrimination and systemic bias. As she leads community initiatives to promote inclusivity and address escalating incidents of harassment against people of color, Maya faces fierce resistance from both residents and local law enforcement. Her unwavering professionalism is met with subtle microaggressions and overt acts of hostility, culminating in her unjust arrest for supposedly inciting unrest. This blatant injustice exposes the deep-seated prejudices and corruption within Willow Creek, igniting public outrage and sparking heated debates about race and equality. Maya Thompson had always believed in the power of humility. Despite her towering achievements and the wealth that came with her position as the CEO of Thompson Industries, she preferred the simple pleasures of life. Her home was a modest 3-bedroom house nestled in a quiet suburban neighborhood, far removed from the opulent penthouses and sprawling estates of her peers. Inside, the decor was unassuming, a stark contrast to the sleek, modern aesthetic of her corporate offices. Every morning, Maya followed a routine that kept her grounded. She started her day with a cup of black coffee, brewed to perfection in her modest kitchen, and read through the local newspaper before heading out. Her attire was always simple: comfortable jeans, a plain blouse, and a well-worn cardigan. No designer labels or flashy accessories. She dressed to blend in, not to stand out. As the CEO of one of the most successful tech companies in the country, Maya held a position that commanded respect and authority. Yet, she navigated her professional world with a quiet strength, preferring to let her work speak for itself rather than relying on the trappings of power. Her leadership style was inclusive and empathetic, fostering a company culture where every employee felt valued and heard. On this particular Thursday morning, the sun cast a warm glow over the sleepy town of Willow Creek. The streets were lined with quaint shops and local businesses, each contributing to the town's charming character. Maya's car glided smoothly through the streets, eventually pulling into the parking lot of the Corner Diner, a beloved local establishment known for its hearty breakfasts and welcoming atmosphere. Maya had a penchant for supporting local businesses, seeing it as a way to stay connected to the community that had supported her from the beginning. As she walked through the diner's glass door, the familiar chime above it announced her arrival. The place was bustling with early risers, students grabbing their first coffee, parents discussing their day's plans, and regulars enjoying their morning meals. She approached the counter, where Lisa, the longtime waitress, greeted her with a warm smile. Lisa was a petite woman in her late 30s, known for her impeccable memory and friendly demeanor. "Good morning, Maya." "The usual." Maya returned the smile. "Yes. Please, black coffee and a bowl of your famous oatmeal." Lisa nodded, already preparing her order. "Coming right up. How's everything at Thompson Industries?" "Busy as always," Maya replied, her tone light. "But we're making some exciting strides with the new project." As Lisa moved to take another order, Maya glanced around the diner, her eyes meeting those of familiar faces. She felt a sense of comfort here, in these everyday interactions, that contrasted sharply with the high-stakes meetings and strategic decisions of her professional life. Seated by the window, Maya sipped her coffee, savoring its rich flavor. She had always found solace in these quiet moments before the day truly began. Today, however, a subtle tension lingered in the air, a sense of unease that Maya couldn't quite place. The diner's door swung open again, letting in a gust of chilly spring air. A group of young men walked in, their loud conversations and boisterous laughter momentarily disrupting the peaceful morning. Maya watched as one of them, a tall man with a confident stride, approached the counter. "Hey, Lisa, can I get another one of your giant blueberry pancakes, and don't forget the extra whipped cream this time?" he requested, flashing a grin at her. Lisa chuckled, already jotting down the order. "You got it, Mike, coming right up." Maya observed the interaction, noting the easy camaraderie between Lisa and Mike. It was moments like these that made her appreciate the simplicity of community life, far removed from the impersonal nature of corporate boardrooms. Just then, an elderly man shuffled into the diner, leaning heavily on his cane. He took his time choosing a seat at the corner table, away from the main bustle. Maya couldn't help but feel a pang of empathy. She often wondered about the stories that each person carried with them, the silent struggles that went unnoticed in the rush of daily life. As she returned her attention to her oatmeal, Maya felt a tap on her shoulder. Turning, she found herself face to face with Detective Samuel Green, a figure she recognized from the local precinct. Samuel was a middle-aged man with a stern expression softened by kind eyes. Despite his authoritative role, there was an underlying warmth to his demeanor that made him approachable. "Good morning, Detective," Maya greeted him, a hint of surprise in her voice. "What brings you here so early?" Samuel offered a brief nod. "Morning, Maya. Just grabbing a quick bite before heading to the precinct. How's everything on your end?" Maya hesitated for a moment, sensing the weight behind his words. "Busy, as always. Anything I can help with?" Samuel glanced around the diner, lowering his voice slightly. "Actually, yes, I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have a few minutes?" Maya set her spoon down, her curiosity piqued. "Of course, let's step outside." They moved to a quieter corner of the diner, away from the prying eyes and ears of other patrons. The fresh air felt invigorating as they sat down on a bench outside. Samuel took a deep breath, his gaze meeting Maya's. "It's about the recent incidents in town. I know you've been hearing things, but I wanted to get your perspective." Maya frowned slightly, sensing the seriousness of the conversation. "Go on." "There have been a few reported cases where individuals of color, particularly black women, have faced unfair treatment in public spaces. From what I understand, some of these incidents are subtle, but persistent. It's creating an atmosphere of discomfort and tension within the community." Maya nodded, her mind racing. "I've noticed some of that too. It's disheartening. People are being judged based on appearances rather than who they are or what they've achieved." Samuel leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Exactly. And it's not just isolated incidents. There's a pattern emerging that points to deeper systemic issues. As someone influential in the community, your voice could really make a difference." Maya felt a surge of responsibility. "I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. What do you need from me?" "I'm organizing a community forum to address these issues head-on. I believe that with your support and leadership, we can foster a meaningful dialogue and initiate real change. Would you be willing to help spearhead this initiative?" Maya took a moment to consider. Her days were already filled with corporate responsibilities, but the importance of the matter resonated deeply with her. "I'd be honored to help, Detective. When is this forum scheduled?" "Next month. We're still in the planning stages, but your involvement could set the tone for a productive and impactful event." Maya felt a sense of determination settle in. "Count me in. Let's work together to make Willow Creek a more inclusive and understanding community." Samuel smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Thank you, Maya. Your support means a lot." As they parted ways, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something significant. She returned to her table, her mind swirling with thoughts of the upcoming forum and the conversations that would follow. The diner's usual hum seemed more pronounced, each clink of cutlery and murmur of voices underscored by the gravity of the topic at hand. She finished her oatmeal, each bite a reminder of the simple pleasures she cherished amidst the complexities of her life. Maya had built her success through hard work and resilience, navigating a world that often underestimated her because of her race and gender. Yet, she had never let those challenges define her. Instead, she used them as fuel to propel herself forward, striving to create a legacy of empowerment and change. As she stood to leave, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was clear. She would use her position not just for personal success, but to advocate for those whose voices were often silenced. It was a mission that resonated deeply with her values, aligning perfectly with her humble nature and desire to give back to the community that had supported her journey. Stepping out of the corner diner, Maya inhaled the crisp morning air, the scent of blooming flowers mingling with the distant sound of traffic. The sun had climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the streets of Willow Creek. She walked briskly toward her car, her thoughts focused yet hopeful. Unbeknownst to Maya, the seeds of change were already taking root. The community forum would bring to light stories and experiences that had long been hidden in the shadows, challenging perceptions and igniting conversations that could transform the very fabric of Willow Creek. As Maya drove through the town, she noticed subtle signs of unease. glances exchanged between neighbors, hushed conversations lingering in the air. It was a town on the brink of transformation, and Maya was poised to lead the way. But change rarely comes without resistance. As Maya prepared to take the wheel, she couldn't have anticipated the challenges that awaited her, the hidden prejudices that lurked beneath the surface, and the personal confrontations that would test her resolve. The journey she was about to embark on would not only redefine her role in the community, but also push her to confront the very biases she sought to dismantle. The sun shone brightly, casting a golden hue over Willow Creek, but beneath its warmth lay the complex interplay of progress and prejudice, acceptance and resistance. Maya Thompson was ready to navigate the delicate balance, her heart and mind aligned with the mission of fostering understanding and equality. As she merged onto the highway, the weight of her responsibilities settled comfortably on her shoulders. Maya knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but her commitment to humility, justice, and community gave her the strength to persevere. She glanced in the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of her reflection, a powerful woman grounded in her values, ready to make a difference. The journey had begun, and Maya was determined to see it through, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. The story of her fight against systemic bias and her quest for a more inclusive Willow Creek was just unfolding, setting the stage for a narrative of courage, resilience, and transformative change. Stay tuned for the next part of Maya's journey, where unexpected twists reveal the complexities of bias and the strength of the human spirit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to follow her story as it unfolds. Maya Thompson sat back down in her seat, the remnants of her oatmeal still warm in her bowl. The conversation with Detective Green had left her with a heavy sense of responsibility. As she packed her belongings, her phone buzzed with notifications, but she chose to silence it, focusing instead on the quiet hum of the diner around her. She stepped out of the corner diner and into the bustling streets of Willow Creek, the sun now fully risen, casting long shadows across the sidewalks. Maya's car waited for her in the parking lot, its sleek exterior a testament to her success. She settled into the driver's seat, taking a deep breath before starting the engine. Today, she had meetings lined up at her company's headquarters, but her mind lingered on the upcoming community forum. As she drove, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The streets were unusually quiet for a weekday morning, the typical chatter subdued. She glanced in the rearview mirror, noticing a man watching her intently from across the street. His gaze was intense, lingering longer than casual observation warranted. Maya felt a flicker of unease, but dismissed it as a momentary distraction. The drive to Thompson Industries was a smooth one, the city's skyline gleaming under the clear blue sky. Her office, a towering glass building, reflected the morning light, symbolizing both her success and the transparency she valued in her leadership. Maya walked through the revolving doors, greeted by the familiar sights and sounds of her corporate environment. Her assistant Jenna awaited her in the lobby. Jenna was a young woman in her mid-20s, energetic and always ready to assist. "Good morning, Maya. The board meeting is about to start," she informed, her voice cheerful. "Thank you, Jenna. Let me grab my notes," Maya replied, her tone calm and collected. She moved toward her office, her steps purposeful. As she walked past the reception desk, she caught snippets of conversations among her employees, discussions about projects, deadlines, and upcoming events. It was a dynamic atmosphere, one Maya thrived in. Entering her office, Maya was greeted by the familiar sight of her team, already engaged in discussions. She took her seat at the large mahogany desk, arranging her papers with practiced efficiency. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it, focusing instead on the agenda for the day. The board meeting commenced promptly, with each department head presenting their reports. Maya listened attentively, her mind partially occupied with thoughts of the community forum. As the meeting progressed, the topic shifted to the recent incidents in town. Subtle acts of discrimination that had gone largely unnoticed until now. Jenna took the floor, detailing the reports received by the HR department regarding biased remarks and unfair treatment of employees from diverse backgrounds. "These incidents are creating a toxic work environment," Jenna concluded, her voice tinged with frustration. Maya nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's unacceptable. We need to address this head-on, not just within our company, but also in the community. Our upcoming forum is a step in the right direction." One of the board members, Mr. Harris, a middle-aged man with a stern demeanor, leaned forward. "While I support the initiative, I'm concerned about the potential backlash. Willow Creek is a small town. People can be resistant to change." Maya met his gaze steadily. "Change is necessary, whether we like it or not. It's our responsibility to lead by example and foster an inclusive environment, both in our workplace and in the community." The meeting continued, with Maya advocating for comprehensive diversity training and community outreach programs. Her passion was evident, but so was her weariness. The burden of leadership, especially in times of societal tension, weighed heavily on her shoulders. After the meeting, Maya retreated to her office, the door closing behind her with a soft click. She leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for a moment to gather her thoughts. The conversation with Detective Green and the board meeting had solidified her determination to make a meaningful impact. But she couldn't ignore the undercurrent of resistance that seemed to permeate the town. As the day progressed, Maya found herself juggling meetings, emails, and strategic planning for the forum. Her phone continued to buzz with messages from colleagues, community members, and even concerned citizens. Despite the demands, she maintained her composure, a testament to her resilience and dedication. Late in the afternoon, as the office began to quiet down, Maya decided to take a short walk to clear her mind. The building's executive floor had a private terrace overlooking the city, a place she often visited to reflect and find solace amidst the chaos. Stepping onto the terrace, Maya was greeted by the sight of the sun setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The serene view provided a momentary escape from the relentless pace of her professional life. She took a deep breath, savoring the tranquility. Her phone buzzed once more, interrupting her peace. She glanced at the screen. It was a text from Detective Green. "We need to talk urgent. Meet me at the corner diner in 30. Maya frowned, a sense of unease settling in. What could this be about, she wondered. Without wasting a moment, she headed back inside, quickly gathering her things and preparing to leave. The drive back to the diner was tense, the evening air now cool and crisp. The streets were lit by street lamps, casting soft glows on the sidewalks. Maya parked her car and walked toward the entrance, the familiar chime above the door marking her arrival. Inside, the diner was nearly empty, the only sounds the soft clinking of cutlery and the distant hum of the refrigerator. Detective Green was seated at a corner table, his expression serious. He looked up as she approached, gesturing for her to sit. "Good evening, Detective," Maya greeted, taking her seat opposite him. "Thank you for coming so quickly," Samuel began, his tone earnest. "I won't beat around the bush. There's been another incident in town." Maya's heart sank. "What happened?" Samuel took a deep breath. "Last night, there was an altercation at the local grocery store. A black woman was verbally harassed by a customer, and the situation escalated to the point where the woman felt threatened enough to leave without making a complaint." Maya felt a pang of frustration and sorrow. "Another one. This pattern is concerning." Samuel nodded. "It's not isolated. There have been multiple reports over the past few months. These incidents are contributing to a climate of fear and tension among residents of color in Willow Creek." Maya leaned forward, her eyes meeting Samuel's. "What can we do about it? How can we prevent these situations from happening?" Samuel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "We're trying to increase police presence and engage with community leaders to address these issues, but it's an uphill battle. Bias is deeply ingrained, and changing people's behavior takes time and persistent effort." Maya's mind raced, the weight of her role pressing down on her. "The community forum is even more critical now. We need to ensure that these conversations happen, that people feel safe speaking out, and that steps are taken to address and mitigate these biases." Samuel looked hopeful. "Your support could make a significant difference. We need influential voices like yours to advocate for change and to help bridge the gaps in understanding and empathy." Maya nodded firmly. "I'm committed to this. We'll push forward with the forum and explore additional initiatives to foster a more inclusive and respectful community." As they concluded their conversation, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. The incidents were not just statistics, they were real people facing real challenges, and it was her duty to help address them. She left the diner with a clear plan in mind: determined to make the upcoming forum a catalyst for meaningful change. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Maya coordinated with local organizations, reached out to speakers, and worked closely with Detective Green and other community leaders to ensure that the forum would be impactful. Despite her busy schedule, she remained accessible, listening to the concerns of others and incorporating their feedback into the event's agenda. One evening, as Maya was reviewing the final details for the forum, she received a call from her friend and colleague, Dr. Angela Ramirez, a respected psychologist known for her work in community mental health. "Maya, I heard about the latest incident at the grocery store. I'm really sorry you're having to deal with all this," Angela said, her voice filled with genuine concern. "Thanks, Angela. It's been tough, but I'm trying to stay focused," Maya replied, rubbing her temples slightly. "We need to create a space where these issues can be openly discussed and addressed." Angela sighed. "I completely agree. If there's anything I can do to help, whether it's providing resources or facilitating workshops, please let me know." Maya smiled gratefully. "I appreciate that, Angela. Your expertise would be invaluable." As they ended the call, Maya felt a surge of gratitude for her supportive network. She knew that tackling systemic biases required collective effort, and she was fortunate to have allies who shared her vision for a more equitable community. The day of the forum arrived, and the community center was abuzz with activity. Banners promoting the event hung from the walls, and tables were set up for registration and information booths. Maya arrived early, ensuring that everything was in place for the day's proceedings. As the clock approached 10, attendees began to trickle in. Maya greeted each person with a warm smile, making them feel welcome and appreciated. The atmosphere was a mix of anticipation and apprehension, a reflection of the community's divided emotions regarding the recent incidents. The opening speech was delivered by Maya herself. Standing at the podium, she took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the room, filled with faces reflecting a spectrum of emotions: hope, frustration, fear, and determination. "Good morning, everyone," Maya began, her voice steady and confident. "Thank you all for being here today. We've gathered to address a pressing issue that affects not only individuals, but the very fabric of our community: bias and discrimination." The room responded with murmurs of agreement, the weight of her words sinking in. Maya continued, sharing her own experiences and observations, creating a personal connection with the audience. She spoke about the importance of understanding, empathy, and collective action in overcoming ingrained prejudices. As the day progressed, various speakers took the stage, sharing their stories and insights. Panels discussed strategies for fostering inclusive environments, workshops provided tools for recognizing and addressing unconscious bias, and open forums allowed attendees to voice their concerns and suggestions. Throughout the event, Maya remained a pillar of support and encouragement, facilitating discussions and ensuring that every voice was heard. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, a storm of emotions brewed. The recurring incidents in Willow Creek were a stark reminder of the systemic challenges that persisted, despite the community's best efforts. Late in the afternoon, as the forum was winding down, Maya received an urgent message from Detective Green. It was a simple text: "Meet me at the park now." Maya's heart raced as she read the message. She quickly gathered her things and left the community center, the sun beginning to set, casting a golden hue over the town. The park was a short drive away, a place she frequented for quiet reflection. As she arrived, she saw Samuel standing near the old oak tree, his face etched with concern. "Maya, thank you for coming," Samuel greeted her, his voice tense. "What's going on, Samuel?" Maya asked, her professional demeanor masking her underlying anxiety. Samuel glanced around before speaking. "It's about the grocery store incident last night. The woman who was harassed. She's missing. We received a report this morning that she didn't make it home." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "Missing? Are you saying she didn't make it back?" Samuel nodded grimly. "We're still investigating, but initial reports suggest foul play. It's deeply troubling, Maya. This isn't just about isolated incidents anymore. It's escalating into something more sinister." Maya's mind raced, the implications of Samuel's words weighing heavily on her. "What can we do to help? How can we prevent this from happening again?" Samuel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "We need to ramp up our efforts, increased patrols, community outreach, and more stringent measures to ensure everyone's safety, but beyond that, we need to address the underlying issues of bias and discrimination that are driving these actions. Maya nodded, determination hardening her resolve. We have to continue pushing forward with the forum and expand our initiatives. We need to create a community where everyone feels safe and respected. Samuel looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and concern. Your leadership is crucial, Maya. We're in this together. As Maya drove home that evening, the gravity of the situation pressed down on her. The forum had been a step in the right direction, but the rising tide of hostility and violence threatened to undermine their efforts. She knew that she couldn't afford to lose momentum. The stakes were too high. The following days were marked by a heightened sense of urgency. Maya doubled her efforts, organizing additional meetings with law enforcement, community leaders, and advocacy groups. She spearheaded initiatives to promote awareness and education, emphasizing the importance of recognizing and combating implicit biases. Despite her busy schedule, Maya found moments of quiet reflection, often returning to her humble home to recharge. She maintained her modest lifestyle, finding solace in the simple pleasures that kept her grounded amidst the chaos. Yet, the tension in Willow Creek was palpable, each new incident a reminder of the work that still lay ahead. One morning, as Maya walked into her office, she was greeted by the sight of her assistant, Jenna, waiting with a concerned expression. "Maya, you need to see this," Jenna said, handing her a tablet. Maya took the device, her eyes scanning the screen. It was a news article headline: "Willow Creek on edge after series of racially charged incidents." The article detailed the recent events, highlighting the community's growing unease and the urgent need for action. She felt a surge of frustration and sadness. "It's getting out of hand," she muttered, running a hand through her hair. "We need to intensify our efforts." Jenna nodded sympathetically. "I spoke with Angela, and she's organizing a workshop on unconscious bias for our team. She thinks it could help in fostering a more inclusive environment within the company." Maya smiled appreciatively. "That's a great initiative. Let's make sure everyone attends. We need to lead by example." As the days turned into weeks, Maya continued to navigate the delicate balance between her corporate responsibilities and her advocacy work. The incidents in Willow Creek had become a catalyst for change, igniting conversations and actions that aimed to dismantle the systemic biases entrenched in the community. However, the rising tensions also brought new challenges. During a board meeting, a new employee, Mark, voiced his concerns about the ongoing initiatives. "I understand the importance of diversity and inclusion, but sometimes it feels like we're forcing things. People are getting defensive, and it's causing friction within the team." Maya met Mark's gaze calmly. "I appreciate your honesty, Mark. Change is never easy, and it's natural for people to feel uncomfortable. But fostering an inclusive environment benefits everyone. It's about creating a workplace where everyone feels valued and respected." Mark shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I get that, but some of the measures feel a bit over the top. It's creating a divide instead of bridging it." Maya leaned forward, her voice steady. "Our goal is to bridge that divide, Mark. By addressing these issues head-on, we're taking steps to prevent further incidents and to ensure that our company is a place where everyone can thrive. It's about long-term benefits, not immediate comfort." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Maya could see the tension on Mark's face, a reflection of the broader challenges they faced. She knew that resistance was part of the process, but her resolve remained unshaken. Later that week, Maya attended a community meeting organized by Detective Green and other local leaders. The room was filled with concerned residents, each sharing their own experiences and fears. Maya listened intently, her empathy evident as she absorbed their stories. One young woman, visibly shaken, took the floor. "I felt unsafe walking home at night. It's not just about the incidents we've heard. It's about the constant fear that something bad might happen." Maya stepped forward, her voice filled with compassion. "Thank you for sharing your story. Your safety and well-being are paramount, and we're committed to addressing these concerns. We're implementing increased security measures and promoting community programs that foster understanding and respect among all residents." As the meeting progressed, Maya noticed a shift in the room. While the tension was still present, there was a growing sense of hope and determination. People were beginning to see the potential for change, inspired by Maya's unwavering commitment. That evening, Maya returned to her office to find a message from Angela. "Workshop cancelled, urgent meeting at the precinct. Need your presence ASAP." Maya felt a knot form in her stomach. "What's going on?" she wondered aloud, dialing Angela's number. "Hi, Maya. It's Angela. We have a situation that requires immediate attention. There was another incident at the community center. A black woman was verbally abused by a group of teenagers, and things escalated quickly." Maya's frustration surged. "This is happening more frequently. We need to act fast to prevent further escalation." Angela's voice was tense. "I agree. We're coordinating with the police and local organizations to address the issue. Your presence would be invaluable in facilitating discussions and showing support." Without hesitation, Maya grabbed her coat and headed to the precinct. The drive was a blur, her mind racing with strategies and concerns. Upon arrival, she was met by Detective Green, who looked visibly distressed. "Maya, thank you for coming," he greeted her, gesturing toward the scene outside. As they approached the community center, Maya saw the aftermath of the incident. A group of teenagers dispersing, some still arguing, while the victim sat on the steps, tears streaming down her face. Maya's heart ached at the sight, the repeated patterns of discrimination and aggression deeply unsettling. She approached the victim gently, kneeling beside her. "I'm so sorry this happened to you. Can you tell me what occurred?" The woman looked up, her eyes red and swollen. "They just started making fun of me, calling me names. When I tried to leave, one of them grabbed me. I was so scared." Maya reached out, placing a comforting hand on the woman's shoulder. "You didn't deserve that. We're here to help you." Detective Green joined them, his expression somber. "We're doing everything we can to address these incidents, but we need the community's support to make real change." Maya stood up, her presence commanding, yet compassionate. "We need to hold these individuals accountable for their actions and ensure that our community is safe for everyone. We'll be working on implementing more robust community outreach and support systems." As she spoke, Maya felt a surge of determination. Each incident was a stark reminder of the systemic issues they were battling, but it also reinforced her commitment to fostering a more inclusive and respectful community. After the meeting, Maya returned to her office, the weight of the day heavy on her shoulders. She sat down, staring blankly at her computer screen, the events replaying in her mind. The incidents were becoming more frequent, each one more distressing than the last. She knew that time was running out. They needed to act decisively to prevent further escalation. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. It was Jenna, holding a stack of papers. "Maya, I finished compiling the feedback from the workshop attendees. Thought you might want to review it before tomorrow's meeting." Maya nodded, taking the papers and offering a tired smile. "Thanks, Jenna. I appreciate all your hard work." As Jenna left, Maya leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes. The exhaustion was palpable, but so was her resolve. She couldn't let the growing tide of discrimination and fear consume Willow Creek. They needed a comprehensive strategy, one that addressed not just the symptoms, but the root causes of these issues. That night, Maya sat alone in her office, poring over reports and planning the next steps. She mapped out a multifaceted approach, increasing community policing, expanding educational programs, and fostering open dialogues between different groups within the town. It was ambitious, but she knew it was necessary. Her phone buzzed again, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Angela. "Meeting at the precinct tonight. More details on the incident. We need to strategize." Maya sighed, knowing there was no time for rest. She gathered her materials and headed to the precinct, determined to tackle the challenges head-on. The drive was silent, the night air cool and still, mirroring her focused mindset. At the precinct, she was met by Detective Green and a small team of officers. They gathered in the conference room, the air thick with urgency. "We need to address these incidents comprehensively," Maya began, her voice firm. "It's clear that our current measures aren't enough. We need to implement community-based programs that educate and engage, rather than just enforce." Detective Green nodded. "We've been considering outreach initiatives, but your input would be invaluable. How do you suggest we proceed?" Maya outlined her plan, emphasizing the importance of collaboration between law enforcement, community leaders, and residents. We need to create safe spaces for dialogue, provide support for victims, and hold perpetrators accountable through consistent and fair enforcement of the law. One of the officers, a young man named Officer Daniels, raised his hand. What about training? We've talked about unconscious bias training, but it feels like it's not making the impact we need. Maya considered his point. Training is essential, but it needs to be ongoing and integrated into our daily operations. It's not a one-time fix. We also need to foster a culture of accountability and empathy within the department. The meeting continued, with Maya and the team brainstorming strategies and assigning tasks. It was a collaborative effort, each member contributing their expertise and insights. By the end of the night, a comprehensive plan was taking shape, one that Maya hoped would bring about the change Willow Creek so desperately needed. As she left the precinct, the first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon, casting a pale glow on the town. Maya felt a sense of hope. Tempered by the challenges ahead, she knew that true change would require patience, persistence, and unwavering commitment. Returning home, Maya reflected on the day's events. The incidents of discrimination were more than just unfortunate events. They were symptoms of a deeper societal issue that needed to be addressed with empathy and strategic action. She was determined to lead the charge, using her position and resources to make a tangible difference. However, as she settled into her evening routine, she couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that someone was watching her. The memory of the man across the street from the diner lingered, a subtle reminder that change often came with resistance. Maya glanced out her window, her mind racing with thoughts of the obstacles that lay ahead. The next morning, Maya arrived at the community center early, the site of the upcoming forum. The space was adorned with banners promoting unity and understanding, and volunteers were busy setting up chairs and equipment. Maya greeted each person with a warm smile, her presence a beacon of hope amidst the growing tensions. As the forum commenced, Maya took the stage, her voice clear and resolute. Welcome everyone. Today, we gather to address the pressing issues of bias and discrimination that have affected our community deeply. It's time for us to come together, to listen, to understand, and to take actionable steps toward creating a more inclusive Willow Creek. Her speech was met with applause, the audience visibly moved by her words. Throughout the day, Maya facilitated discussions, encouraged open dialogue, and emphasized the importance of collective responsibility in combating systemic biases. Yet, amidst the positive atmosphere, Maya couldn't shake the sense of foreboding. She was acutely aware that not everyone would be receptive to their efforts. Change was often met with resistance, and she was prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. Later that evening, as Maya was leaving the community center, she noticed a familiar figure lurking near the entrance, the man from the diner. His presence was unsettling, his gaze fixed on her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. She approached him cautiously, her professional demeanor masking the fear she felt. "Can I help you?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite the unease. The man hesitated, his eyes darting around nervously. "I need to talk to you, Maya. It's important." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "About what?" He took a step closer, his expression guarded. "It's about the changes you're pushing for. Not everyone is happy with them." Maya remained calm, sensing the underlying hostility. "I'm committed to creating a better community for everyone. If you have concerns, I'm open to hearing them." The man sighed, a mixture of frustration and anger evident in his demeanor. "It's not just about the community center. You're challenging the status quo, and some people aren't ready for that. They don't understand why you're doing this." Maya met his gaze, her eyes unwavering. "Change can be difficult, but it's necessary. We're striving for a more inclusive and respectful Willow Creek. If you're opposed to that, I'd like to understand why." The man glanced around, his hands clenched at his sides. "It's not about understanding. It's about keeping things the way they've always been. You don't belong here, Maya. You're disrupting the peace." Maya felt a surge of frustration, but she kept her composure. "Peace should include everyone. Discrimination and bias disrupt the true harmony of our community." He shook his head, his anger palpable. "You think you can just waltz in here, trying to change everything? You're not one of us. You don't understand the real issues." Maya took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "I understand that change is uncomfortable, but it's essential for progress. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to help create a community where everyone feels safe and respected." The man's expression hardened. "You're too high and mighty for this town. Maybe someone should teach you a lesson." Before Maya could respond, the man turned and fled into the night, leaving her standing alone on the sidewalk, her heart pounding. She stood there for a moment, processing the encounter, her mind racing with questions and concerns. The resistance she faced was more personal and direct than she had anticipated, a stark reminder of the deep-seated prejudices that still lingered in Willow Creek. Shaken but resolute, Maya returned to her car, her thoughts consumed by the escalating tensions. The incidents were not just statistical anomalies. They were a reflection of the biases that permeated the community, hindering true unity and understanding. She knew that addressing these issues required unwavering dedication and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. As she drove home, Maya's mind replayed the man's words, the weight of his accusations pressing down on her. "You don't belong here," he had said. The statement stung, a subtle reminder of the barriers that still existed despite her efforts to bridge them. But Maya refused to let his words deter her. She had faced challenges before, navigating the complexities of being a black woman in a position of power, and she had always emerged stronger. This was no different. If anything, it reinforced her commitment to the cause. The following week saw an intensification of her efforts. Maya organized additional workshops, collaborated with local businesses to implement inclusive practices, and continued to work closely with Detective Green and other law enforcement officials to monitor and address the incidents. Despite her proactive approach, the resistance grew. Subtle microaggressions became more frequent. Comments questioning her authority, dismissive attitudes, and passive-aggressive behaviors from some community members. Each interaction chipped away at her resolve. But Maya remained steadfast, her professionalism unwavering. One afternoon, as Maya was reviewing plans for an upcoming workshop, her office door swung open, revealing one of her longtime employees, Marcus. He was a diligent and dedicated member of her team, known for his sharp intellect and unwavering loyalty. "Hey Maya, do you have a minute?" Marcus asked, his tone hesitant. "Of course, Marcus. Come in," Maya replied, gesturing for him to take a seat. He sat down, his expression troubled. "I wanted to talk to you about something that's been bothering me. It's about how some people are reacting to the changes we're implementing." Maya leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Marcus took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "There's been a lot of pushback, not just from outside the community, but within our own team. Some of the employees feel like we're forcing these initiatives on them, and it's creating tension in the workplace." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "I understand change can be challenging, and it's natural for people to feel uncomfortable. What can we do to address their concerns?" Marcus looked down, his hands fidgeting with his pen. "I think we need to approach this with more empathy and open dialogue. Maybe provide more context on why these changes are necessary and how they benefit everyone. Some team members are just feeling overwhelmed by everything that's happening." Maya reached out, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You're right, Marcus. We need to foster a more inclusive environment within our own company before we can expect the same in the wider community. Let's organize smaller, more focused meetings where employees can voice their concerns and ask questions without fear of judgment." Marcus smiled, a sense of relief evident in his demeanor. "That sounds like a good plan. I'll start scheduling those sessions." As Marcus left her office, Maya felt a sense of accomplishment. Addressing internal resistance was just as important as tackling external challenges. It was a reminder that change was a collective effort, requiring patience, understanding, and unwavering commitment. That evening, Maya attended a dinner meeting with local business owners who were supportive of her initiatives. The room was filled with a mix of familiar faces and new allies, each contributing their own perspectives and ideas. One of the business owners, Mr. Jenkins, a prominent figure in Willow Creek's retail scene, raised a concern. "Maya, I support the initiatives, but I'm worried about how it will impact our businesses. We're already stretched thin, and implementing these changes requires time and resources." Maya nodded empathetically. I understand, Mr. Jenkins. Our goal is to create an environment where all businesses can thrive, free from discrimination and bias. By fostering a more inclusive community, we're not only addressing social issues, but also promoting economic growth and stability. Another attendee, Mrs. Ramirez, owner of a local bakery, added, "It's about creating a welcoming space for everyone. It might require some adjustments, but in the long run, it's beneficial for all of us." Maya smiled, grateful for their support. Exactly. We're all in this together. Let's work collaboratively to implement these changes in a way that's manageable and effective. As the meeting concluded, Maya felt a renewed sense of hope. The support from local businesses was crucial, and their willingness to collaborate was a positive sign. However, she knew that the road ahead was still fraught with challenges, both internal and external. Days turned into weeks, and Maya continued to spearhead the community forum, the workshops, and the internal initiatives within her company. Her days were filled with meetings, planning sessions, and countless conversations aimed at fostering understanding and empathy. One afternoon, as Maya was preparing for a workshop on unconscious bias, she received an email from a local news outlet requesting an interview. The headline read, "Maya Thompson, leading the charge for inclusion in Willow Creek." She felt a mix of emotions: pride in her efforts, anxiety about the spotlight, and a determination to use the platform to further the cause. Maya agreed to the interview, knowing that public exposure could amplify their message and inspire others to join the movement. The day of the interview arrived, and Maya found herself sitting in the office of the Willow Creek Gazette, facing the journalist assigned to her story. The room was comfortable, with large windows allowing natural light to flood in, creating an inviting atmosphere. "Thank you for agreeing to speak with us, Maya," the journalist began, his tone professional yet curious. "Can you tell us more about your initiatives to address bias and discrimination in Willow Creek?" Maya took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "Absolutely. Our goal is to create a community where everyone feels safe, respected, and valued, regardless of their background or identity. We're implementing a series of workshops, community forums, and educational programs aimed at fostering understanding and empathy. It's about breaking down the barriers that divide us and building bridges that connect us." The journalist nodded, jotting down notes. "What inspired you to take on this role and lead these initiatives?" Maya paused, her mind reflecting on her journey. "I believe that true progress comes from within the community. When we address these issues collectively, we create a stronger, more resilient town. I've seen firsthand the impact that bias and discrimination can have, and I want to be part of the solution, not just for myself, but for everyone in Willow Creek." As the interview continued, Maya shared stories of resilience and hope, emphasizing the importance of collective action and the power of empathy. Her words resonated with the journalist, who concluded the interview with a promise to highlight the positive changes unfolding in the community. Returning to her office, Maya felt a sense of accomplishment. The interview was a step toward raising awareness and garnering broader support for their initiatives. But she knew that the true measure of success lay in the tangible changes within the community, not just in media coverage. However, not everyone was pleased with Maya's efforts. One morning, as she arrived at her office, she noticed a group of employees gathered around her desk, their expressions a mix of concern and frustration. Among them was Mark, the same employee who had voiced his reservations during a board meeting. "Maya, we need to talk," Mark began, his voice edged with irritation. "There's a lot of resistance among the staff regarding these changes. Some are feeling targeted and uncomfortable." Maya took a deep breath, maintaining her calm demeanor. "I understand that change can be difficult, Mark. But these initiatives are designed to benefit everyone, creating a more inclusive and respectful workplace." Mark shook his head. "It feels like we're being forced to adopt new practices without proper training or explanation. People are confused and resentful." Maya leaned forward, her eyes meeting his with unwavering determination. "I hear your concerns, and I want to address them. Let's organize additional training sessions and provide clear explanations about the importance and benefits of these initiatives. It's crucial that everyone understands the purpose behind these changes." Another employee, Sarah, added, "We're all for inclusion, but the way it's being implemented feels rushed. People need time to adjust." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "I agree, Sarah. It's important to implement these changes thoughtfully and respectfully. We'll work on a phased approach, ensuring that everyone has the time and resources they need to adapt. As the meeting concluded, Maya felt a sense of satisfaction. Addressing internal resistance required patience and empathy, but she was committed to ensuring that every team member felt heard and supported. However, the underlying tensions in Willow Creek continued to escalate. The increasing number of incidents and the growing resistance to change created a volatile environment, with Maya at the epicenter of the storm. One evening, as Maya was reviewing plans for an upcoming workshop, her phone buzzed with an urgent message from Detective Green. "Meet me at the community center. It's urgent." Maya felt a chill run down her spine, sensing that another incident had occurred. She quickly gathered her belongings and headed to the community center, the weight of responsibility pressing down on her once more. Upon arrival, she was met by Samuel and a few officers. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with concern. They led her to a meeting room where an elderly woman sat alone, her face pale and eyes filled with fear. "Maya, this is Mrs. Johnson," Samuel introduced her. "She was involved in an altercation last night at the park." Maya approached the woman gently, kneeling beside her. "Mrs. Johnson, can you tell me what happened?" Mrs. Johnson took a deep breath, her voice shaky. "I was walking my dog when a group of teenagers approached me. They started making fun of my appearance and my dog, calling us names. When I tried to walk away, one of them pushed me, and I fell." Maya felt a surge of anger and sadness. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Have you reported this to the police?" Mrs. Johnson nodded. "Yes, but I felt dismissed. They said it was just teenagers having fun. I know what happened." Maya took the woman's hand, her eyes filled with empathy. "Your experience is valid, Mrs. Johnson. We're committed to ensuring that incidents like this are taken seriously and addressed appropriately." Samuel stepped forward, his tone professional yet compassionate. "We're investigating the matter, and we want to ensure your safety and the safety of all residents. We're also looking into ways to prevent these incidents from happening in the future." Maya stood up, her determination unwavering. "We need to address the root causes of these behaviors. It's not just about responding to incidents, but creating a community where everyone feels safe and respected." As she spoke, Maya felt the weight of her role intensify. Each incident was a stark reminder of the work that still needed to be done, the deep-seated biases that continued to fester beneath the surface of Willow Creek. Leaving the community center, Maya drove home with a heavy heart. The series of events had not only impacted the individuals directly involved, but also shaken the foundation of the community she cared so deeply about. She knew that their efforts were just beginning, and the road ahead would be long and challenging. Back at her office, Maya reviewed her notes and planned her next steps. She scheduled meetings with local schools to implement anti-bullying programs, partnered with community organizations to provide support for victims, and continued to advocate for comprehensive diversity training within her company. Despite the growing challenges, Maya remained steadfast in her mission. She knew that change was possible, but it required unwavering commitment and collective action. Her humility and dedication inspired those around her, fostering a sense of unity and purpose within the community. However, the resistance was growing more pronounced. One afternoon, as Maya was leaving a meeting with local business owners, she noticed the same man from the diner standing near the entrance, his gaze fixed on her with a mixture of disdain and hostility. Summoning her courage, Maya approached him, determined to address his hostility head-on. "Can I help you?" The man sneered, his arms crossed defiantly. "I'm here to tell you to stop meddling in our town's affairs. You're not welcome here." Maya maintained her composure, her voice calm, yet firm. "I'm here to help, not to interfere. We all want Willow Creek to be a better place for everyone. If you have concerns, I'm open to discussing them." He scoffed, his eyes narrowing. "You think you can just impose your ideas on us? You don't belong here, Maya. Get out before you make things worse." Before Maya could respond, another group of individuals entered the scene, several of her employees having followed her to offer support. Seeing their presence, the man's expression darkened. "Looks like you have a crowd now. Enjoy your false sense of security while it lasts." Maya felt a surge of frustration, but remained calm. We're here to support each other and create a more inclusive community. There's no need for hostility." The man glared at her before turning and walking away, his footsteps echoing with unresolved tension. Maya watched him leave, a sense of helplessness washing over her. Despite her best efforts, the resistance to change seemed insurmountable, fueled by deep-seated prejudices that were difficult to eradicate. Returning to her office, Maya sat down heavily in her chair, the events of the day replaying in her mind. The resistance was not just external, it was personal, challenging her identity and purpose in ways she had never anticipated. She knew that addressing these biases required more than just policies and initiatives. It required changing hearts and minds, a task that was both daunting and essential. As she contemplated the road ahead, Maya made a silent vow. She would continue to fight for a more inclusive and respectful Willow Creek, no matter the obstacles. The journey was far from over, and the challenges were only growing more intense, but her commitment remained unshaken. For the sake of the community, for the individuals who had suffered, and for the vision of a united Willow Creek, Maya was determined to persevere. Stay tuned for the next part of Maya's journey, where the conflict reaches a critical turning point, testing her resilience and leadership. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to follow her story as it unfolds. The days following Maya Thompson's encounter with the man from the diner were a whirlwind of activity and mounting tension. Willow Creek was a town grappling with its identity, teetering between tradition and the pressing need for change. Maya's initiatives were met with a mix of support and resistance, each day bringing new challenges that tested her resolve and leadership. One crisp autumn morning, Maya arrived at her office to find a stack of letters on her desk, each bearing the official seal of the Willow Creek Police Department. Her heart sank as she read the subject line of the first letter: "Request for meeting regarding recent community initiatives." Without hesitation, Maya called Detective Green. His voice was tight with urgency. "Maya, thank you for coming on such short notice. We need to discuss something important." She made her way to his office, the gravity of the situation pressing down on her. Detective Green greeted her with a somber expression. "Maya, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but there's been a misunderstanding." Maya felt a knot form in her stomach. "What do you mean?" "Last night, after the forum, there was an incident at the community center. A group of individuals confronted you, accusing you of overstepping and disrupting the town's harmony. Things escalated quickly, and the situation got out of hand. You were taken into custody for questioning." Maya's mind raced, disbelief and frustration swirling within her. "What? Why would they arrest me? I was just trying to help the community." Detective Green sighed deeply. "We believe it was an orchestrated attempt to discredit you and undermine the progress we've been making. They presented false information suggesting you were inciting unrest rather than fostering dialogue." Maya clenched her fists, struggling to maintain her composure. "This is blatant discrimination. They're targeting me because of who I am and the changes I'm advocating for." Detective Green nodded sympathetically. "I understand, Maya. We're working to clear your name and expose the true motives behind this. In the meantime, you need to remain calm and let the legal process run its course." As Maya left Detective Green's office, a sense of helplessness washed over her. She had faced resistance before, but this was different. The stakes were higher, and the personal attack was more direct. She couldn't let this injustice stand, not only for herself, but for the entire community she had come to love and fight for. Back at her office, Maya found Jenna waiting for her, concern etched on her face. "Maya, I heard, are you okay?" Maya took a deep breath, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, Jenna. It's going to be okay. We'll get through this." Jenna reached out, her eyes filled with empathy. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. We're all here for you." Maya nodded, grateful for her team's support. "Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it." The following days were a blur of legal proceedings and public scrutiny. Maya was held at the Willow Creek Police Department for questioning. The sterile environment, a stark contrast to the vibrant community center where she had been advocating for change. Officers went over every detail of the evening's events, asking probing questions and scrutinizing her every move. Throughout the interrogation, Maya remained calm and composed, her professionalism unwavering, despite the blatant injustice she was facing. She provided clear and consistent answers, refuting the false accusations with evidence of her legitimate efforts to improve the community. Meanwhile, back at Thompson Industries, the atmosphere was tense. Employees were divided. Some stood firmly behind Maya, while others, influenced by the ongoing negative press, began to distance themselves. The once unified team was now a battleground of opinions and fears, each day revealing new fractures within the company's culture. Angela Ramirez, Maya's close friend and a respected psychologist, visited her at the precinct. Her presence was a beacon of support amidst the turmoil. "Maya, you need to take care of yourself. This is too much for anyone to handle alone." Maya managed a weary smile. "I know, Angela, but I can't turn away now. We're so close to making real change, I can't let them win." Angela nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "You're stronger than you know, Maya. Let's focus on proving your innocence and continuing the work that matters." As days turned into weeks, the town of Willow Creek became a powder keg of tensions. The media frenzy surrounding Maya's arrest amplified the existing divisions, painting her as either a champion of progress or a disruptor of tradition. Public opinion was split, and the once harmonious community was now polarized, each side entrenched in their own beliefs. One evening, as Maya sat in her holding cell, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. The path to creating an inclusive community had been fraught with challenges, but she had always believed in the power of perseverance and empathy. Now, facing the culmination of those challenges, she knew that her resolve was being tested like never before. Just then, her phone buzzed. A message from Detective Green. "Maya, we've uncovered substantial evidence pointing to the orchestrators behind your arrest. Hold tight, help is on the way." A flicker of hope ignited within her. "Thank God," she whispered, her spirits lifted by the promise of support. Minutes later, the cell door swung open, and Detective Green stepped in with a determined expression. "We have the evidence we need. You're free to go." Maya felt a surge of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, Samuel. I knew you'd find a way." As she walked out of the precinct, the cool night air felt like a balm to her frayed nerves. Detective Green was waiting for her outside, a folder of documents in his hand. "We have everything we need to prove your innocence. The charges are being dropped, and we're pressing charges against those responsible for framing you." Maya nodded, her resolve hardening. "We need to expose the truth and hold them accountable. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about dismantling the systemic biases that allowed this to happen." Detective Green placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We're in this together, Maya. The community needs to see what's really going on, and we're ready to support you every step of the way." Back at her office, Maya found the atmosphere even more strained. The negative sentiment had spread, affecting her company's reputation and morale. However, she refused to let the adversity break her spirit. Instead, she channeled her frustration into strategic planning, determined to turn the situation into a catalyst for change. One morning, as Maya reviewed the latest developments, her phone buzzed with an unexpected call from Officer Daniels, a key figure within the police department known for his resistance to change. "Detective Green has briefed me about your situation," Daniels began, his voice carrying a mix of skepticism and underlying tension. "I still don't understand why someone like you would cause so much upheaval in our community." Maya took a deep breath, maintaining her composure despite the provocation. "Officer Daniels, my goal has always been to create a safer and more inclusive community for everyone. If you have concerns about my methods or intentions, I'm open to discussing them." Daniels paused, his tone shifting slightly. "It's not your intentions I'm questioning, Maya, but the impact your actions are having. There are traditional values in Willow Creek that some feel are being threatened." Maya leaned forward, her eyes meeting his with unwavering determination. "Traditional values are important, but so is progress. We need to evolve to ensure that everyone in our community feels respected and valued. It's not about erasing traditions, but about building a foundation that includes everyone." Daniels sighed, a hint of frustration evident in his demeanor. "I just don't want to see Willow Creek fall apart over this. People are getting restless, and it's creating divisions." Maya's voice softened, yet remained firm. "We're not falling apart. We're growing stronger by addressing these issues head-on. Division only persists when we ignore the problems. We need to face them together. Before Daniels could respond, his phone buzzed with a call from Detective Green. He glanced at the screen, a hint of resignation crossing his face. "Excuse me, Maya, I need to take this," he answered, his expression becoming more serious. "Yes, Samuel. What do you mean?" "I understand. Thank you." He hung up abruptly, his shoulders slumping. "Maya, it's Daniels. He's reconsidering his stance. Seems like your unwavering commitment is starting to sway his perspective." Maya felt a surge of hope. "That's great news. Keep pushing forward." Daniels looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a newfound respect. "Maybe there's more to this than I initially thought. Let's see how we can work together to make Willow Creek better." Maya smiled, a sense of accomplishment washing over her. "I'm glad to hear that, Officer Daniels. Let's collaborate to create a community where everyone feels safe and respected." As Daniels left her office, Maya felt a renewed sense of determination. The road ahead was still long and fraught with challenges, but each small victory fueled her commitment to the cause. She knew that true change required persistence, empathy, and the courage to confront deep-seated biases. However, just as things seemed to be turning in her favor, a new threat emerged. One morning, Maya arrived at her office to find the door barred and police tape snaking around the entrance. Her heart raced as she saw the flashing lights and heard the urgent voices outside. Detective Green approached her, his expression grave. "Maya, we need you to come with us. It's urgent." Confusion and fear gripped her as she tried to comprehend what was happening. "What's going on?" Before Green could answer, a group of officers entered the office, their presence intimidating and authoritative. One of them, a stern-faced officer named Lieutenant Collins, stepped forward. "Ms. Thompson, you're under arrest for interference with law enforcement and obstruction of justice." Maya's mind raced, the words echoing in her ears. "This is absurd. I've done nothing wrong. We're trying to improve the community, not disrupt it." Lieutenant Collins shook his head. "You're being charged based on false allegations and misinformation. You need to come with us immediately." As Maya was led out of her office, the weight of the situation pressed down on her. She had fought so hard to make a difference, only to be met with another layer of injustice. Her phone buzzed incessantly with calls and messages, but she couldn't reach anyone. Her legal team was mobilizing, but she felt isolated in her predicament. As she was escorted into the police car, Maya glanced back at her office, the symbol of her efforts and sacrifices, now a distant memory. She couldn't help but wonder who was behind this latest attack, who stood to gain from framing her for crimes she didn't commit. The realization that systemic corruption was deeper and more insidious than she had initially thought sent a shiver down her spine. Inside the car, Maya remained composed, her mind racing with strategies and thoughts of her team's resilience. She knew that her arrest would only further polarize the community, but she was determined not to let this setback derail her mission. Instead, she resolved to use this moment to expose the true motives behind the attacks and to galvanize the community to stand united against systemic injustice. As the car pulled away from her office building, Maya caught a glimpse of her team outside, their faces a mix of determination and worry. Jenna, Angela, and Detective Green stood together, ready to fight for her freedom and the truth. The support of her allies was a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of her ordeal. The car journey felt endless, the city lights blurring into a sea of indistinct shapes. Maya's thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions: anger, frustration, fear, but above all, an unyielding resolve to fight against the injustice she was facing. She knew that this was the pivotal moment of her journey, a test of her strength and determination. Finally, the car came to a stop at the Willow Creek courthouse, a grand building with imposing pillars and a sense of authority. Maya was led inside, the hallways echoing with the footsteps of officials and the murmurs of concerned citizens. She was taken to a holding area, where she awaited her arraignment, the weight of the town's prejudices bearing down on her. As she sat in the stark, cold room, Maya took a deep breath, focusing on her mission and the people who stood behind her. She refused to let this unjust attack break her spirit. Instead, she would use it as fuel to push forward, to fight harder for the inclusive community she envisioned. Outside the courtroom, her team was already mobilizing. Jenna coordinated with their legal team, Angela reached out to community leaders, and Detective Green worked tirelessly to gather evidence and testimonies that could prove Maya's innocence. The community, though divided, began to rally around her cause, driven by the growing awareness of the systemic issues at play. As the hours passed, Maya prepared herself for the battle ahead, both legal and social. She knew that her journey was far from over, and that the pivotal moment she was approaching would define not only her legacy, but the future of Willow Creek. The heavy wooden doors of the courtroom swung open, and Maya was called in, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she walked toward the judge's bench, she felt the eyes of the community on her, the tension in the air palpable. This was the moment that would either shatter her or solidify her role as a catalyst for change. On